Greetings and bienvenue, midnight crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
What's the most schizo by normie standards thing you believe? Don't hold back, and yeah, I know this thread gets made a lot, but I like it.
Probably delusions of grandeur. I occasionally get coincidences that have very low chance occasionally. This leads me to believe my reality is structured in a way to keep me unaware of its true nature while luring me with rarities beyond logic. An intellectual prison, with physical pain as well. In fact, the act of luring me with unknowable knowledge is a torture device. Is there a name for that one?
You can dream your way into completely virtual worlds you learned about by watching a movie, TV show, or video game. Some of my favorites are Subnautica, Morrowind, and Nova. I call the ability to manifest one's consciousness into a virtual electronic hologram full-dive instrumentality. I gained this ability while astral projecting through Las Vegas and seeing the skylights. I flew up into the air and found this liquid metal mirror. I touched and went into the mirror, and my astral awareness completely dissociated from my body, and I entered into the realm of resonance described in Shadowrun. It's a purely electronic, photonic world where every thought construct can be manipulated and morphed by altering the information in the electron fields surrounding atoms. On other occasions, I used this capability to merge with Mecha Gundam suits, an Atlantean nanotech body, ill-advised. I found out that I could make the hydrogen in my body metallic, and then I astral projected into a body made of liquid metal coated with skin, but the skin burned off and I was just pure metal flesh underneath, which sort of hurt a lot. I approached an information singularity in that dream and realized my source could be manipulated to manifest various forms of information to create fully holographic virtual realities, which I enjoy from time to time. I learned a lot from these dreams, but now I've been working on waking world photokinesis and created a telepathic, photokinetic holographic structure of living light through which I can manifest my awareness into various objects and spaces in the world to gather information and prana. I enjoy oak trees this way, and some of them have shared with me ancient history of a time in Greece when men lived in marble estates, as it rewound time from its fall in existence from a stump back to its sapling self. From that tree I learned how to reverse the flow of informational entropy in dreams, and I can rewind time in certain dreams.
I believe reality itself is aware, in a sense, and it was a very particular sense of humor, but the more you pay attention to it, the more it pays attention back to you, and that can quickly spiral out control in some quite scary ways if you play along with the offered choices.
I am a non-human spirit inhabiting a human vessel, experiencing a temporary human experience for a short time. I have held this belief since I was a child. And the reasoning to why the higher powers would allow such an event to happen is to ensure I was able to be redeemed by being born into the human family. That would be a far grander experience, except I screw up all the time and end up causing myself sorrow. Of course, of the few people who know me in person, no one truly believes me since all they see is the outward man. Though, I approach that with understanding, since how could non-spiritual humans grasp the concept of spiritual beings taking the form of physical humans? Either way, it's best to push forward and just try to do good, since otherwise a lot of darkness and suffering is my only alternative if I should fail to be a light.
Tulpas are real and far more prevalent than people realize. General restructuring of reality by more subtle means happens, but sometimes people can literally manifest things or even people into physical reality just by the power of their minds, and I don't mean like law of attraction stuff, I mean spontaneously making a thing appear in front of them and then convincing themselves that it was always there. My mom was trained to do this as a child and she actually showed me her tulpa. He was literally made of fire. He only appeared for a few seconds. She is deeply traumatized by her childhood experiences and the training in the New Age summer camp she went to, and she is legitimately schizo, but I saw it with my own eyes, so maybe I am too.
Search for Hidden City on Google. You will find many results for a hidden picture game. Search for Secret City. You will find either a TV show or references to airline fraud. Funny, isn't it? It's almost as if these terms are coincidentally difficult to track down in this era of information. There are cities out there called secret and hidden, massive population centers that don't show up on maps. They evade detection by private satellite and aerial photography. Perhaps the governments of the world know where they are. Perhaps they don't. Every once in a great while, an outsider will find one. Even more rarely, a resident is able to escape. If you are ever tempted to go looking for one, don't. You just might find it. And no matter how bad you think your life is now, you have no idea how blessed you are.
Hidden cities. You mean cities where cryptids live or something?
Everyone there is human, or at least almost everyone. There may be a few non-human beings, probably pulling the strings, possibly not. I don't have all the details, but my working theory is that they are similar to the closed administrative territorial formations in Russia, but even more hidden, more guarded, and not shown on any kind of map, even the most classified. Special measures are taken to ensure that the cities are obfuscated in, or camouflaged from satellite and aerial photography. Those who operate supply lines to these cities are extremely well compensated and threatened with brutal consequences should they reveal the location, often involving threats against family, torture, execution, etc. The residents of the cities live in miserable conditions, basically slaves, no rights, strict laws, no way to fight back. Obviously, they cannot be 100% secret because people do very rarely escape, but those who have tried to reveal the existence of any of these cities, let alone their locations, are treated as insane at best and subjected to the same brutal consequences as any other traitor at worst. I'm still consulting with my source to find out more, but details are hard to come by.
Some people joke about the NPC theory, but I unironically think most people in the modern world are animals, and there are only a certain subset of the population left anymore who will ever be conscious, let alone intelligent. The few friends I have are people I consider to have souls. The vast majority of people are pure stimuli. When I talk to normoids, they all say the same shit and will never have any deep thoughts. They are literally incapable. When I discuss a topic with my friends, they can actually respond with their own rationale, and I can actually learn something from them, and they can trace where their thought originated. Women especially seem to be disproportionately without souls. I treat normies as if they are just pieces of meat, they're literal flesh golems. If you actually have a soul, you can really make headway in manipulating people and controlling them for your needs/desires, because they are tameable like any other beast.
Most ghosts are literally crazy. They are stuck at the astral plane and are often the most insane ones who cannot go on. I mean, when people obviously know that humans can be nuts, why do they believe ghosts when they communicate with them? Every loony of a ghost can say, "I am the devil, grah!" and make a spooky demon show, and maybe he believes it. But nearly all that comes from ghosts is BS. They are the normies of the astral plane. Only in very rare cases a spirit has something meaningful to say.
ICBMs are not actually going to kill you with nuclear radiation. No, it is the electromagnetic radiation. What? You say, I shall remind you right now that nukes produce an EMP, electromagnetic pulse. People fear the grid going down, but nobody fears the EM radiation that will penetrate past those cheap, flimsy walls all those city houses are made of. Furthermore, there is some sort of alchemical process going on in the making and production of what we call nukes that makes them super evil. So evil, in fact, that a supernatural curse will taint the air and land. This curse is why the death lakes of Siberia exist. They are perfectly circular, and no life is in those lakes. Here you can even see that the border of this lake has no plants near it. Furthermore, I believe radiation poisoning is actually supernatural in nature. Cursed items always have signs of radiation poisoning when people touch that stuff. But you can eat plutonium Galen Windsor style and be perfectly fine.
Put simply, think about the thousands of hospitals, schools, universities, prisons, etc. that were directly complicit in MKULTRA and a range of similar programs. Think about the combined reach of all those people, especially if you play not 6 degrees but just 2 degrees of separation. Then consider that the vast amount of material we have regarding these programs is only a small portion of the documentary record, because after MKUltra was revealed in the 1970s, DCI Richard Helms ordered the destruction of all files related to the program, which surely contained many other names and institutions, meaning this giant program aimed at influencing on people's minds is larger in size and scope than we can even imagine. In the way of example, New Orleans was the site of a program run by Tulane University with backing from the CIA and the U.S. Army. Since homosexuality was illegal at that time, people convicted of crimes against nature laws as well as patients in local psychiatric institutions were drafted into a program that used drugs, electroshock, and the planting of electrodes in their brains in what was ostensibly an attempt to remedy their afflictions. but was in fact about brainwashing. The program was overseen by Dr. Robert Heath, head of Tulane's Department of Psychiatry, and we are left to wonder just how many people in New Orleans in the 1960s and 1970s were walking the streets with foreign objects in their craniums. One of hundreds to thousands of sub-projects involving countless thousands of institutions and personnel spread out across North America and other parts of the world.
In 2011, I fled Guantanamo Bay to China by hiding in the laundry on a small boat bound to China with a female friend, Jai Yutu, and joined the military there and met Xi Jinping and showed him how to order a $1,000 brain scanner. And he took me to a Buddha supercomputer and hooked the brain scanner up to it and got his code monkeys to script a powerful simulation program that was able to simulate the future and all possible realities, and we used it to learn the truth on everything in the Schizo theory iceberg and beyond up to the final understanding, and not only learned about the plague back in 2011, but able to have one of my clones simulate being every viruses of the plague at once to experience the collective consciousness of the plague. A simulation could let you experience your lifespan in a matter of weeks and let you simulate anybody you wish. There was even one guy that didn't like me and simulated himself as an Asian guy that lived near me who would go out of his way to murder 10 years in the future me about 100 times. One time my dog ended up messing him up pretty bad, and the parents of the guy he simulated would give him lectures when they sensed something was up with him. The timeline got pretty complicated with people learning the future, but somehow everything would come to pass exactly as simulated. I only really paid attention to my life about 8 years in the future back in 2011, so I knew about the plague before it happened, but now I lost all my clairvoyance. The first time I got in the simulation, I simulated my life with my high school crush, and we ended up being hired to spy on Russia. Other than that, it was a generic life. Jai Yutu ended up getting a bionic eye that let her access the internet from her mind. The power supply messed with her brain and she had to get it repaired. A Buddhist with Down syndrome named Buddha got in the simulator with a smart guy, and they had a giant debate on whether it's better to be smart or dumb. Yes, I am a schizo.
I believe that Reviewer is an alien. I think that on his homeworld he is like a professor of xenoanthropology or something equivalent and was sent here to observe human culture. He discovered a love of fast food and began making fast food review videos in his spare time. It always makes me wonder how he can eat all that GMO slop without ever getting sick. Same thing with Badlands Chugs. With their demonic gargoyle looks. They both eat all sorts of garbage, Diet Coke, burgers, high fructose corn syrup, canned sodas in a sitting, tons of grease and onions, yet they don't catch acne, sickness, headache, puke. No nothing. They've converted their anatomy so they only need to eat for pleasure. Aliens only reach their high through pleasurable means. What if a normal human would eat all that junk? Look at Nikado Avocado. He transformed into a giant trash can with all sorts of health issues in not a long time. Maybe 2 years. What if these people binded themselves with a demon so it's not actually them eating, it's the demon consuming all the garbage? I don't know, but something fishy is going on with these food review people.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more green texts will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.
Remember to check out the Odyssey page in the description for a second archive of the channel's videos.